We bought this abandoned Toyota Tacoma for just $400 after it had been sitting in the desert for years. Once we got it back to the shop, it became pretty obvious why nobody wanted it. The engine was blown, the suspension was completely trashed, and this thing was basically one step away from the scrapyard, which honestly makes it the perfect truck for us to turn into a full-blown rock crawler. So we pulled everything out from underneath our tube chassis rock crawler, and we're going to try and fit all of this under our completely stock 1998 Toyota Tacoma. The axles, 4-link suspension, steering, shocks, 40-inch tires, basically everything. The goal is to build a full-body truck that can keep up with full-blown rock buggies while still having all the creature comforts like a cab, doors, heat, air conditioning, and I want this thing to be actually enjoyable to drive. The only problem is, I've never done this before, so I have no clue what I'm doing. So wish me luck, because I'm definitely gonna need it. Last week, we cut off the front of the frame and front half this thing, put a 4-link suspension under it, and mocked up our 40-inch tires. It looks pretty sick, if I do say so myself. Now, we have to start thinking about roll cage and back half structure. So we're gonna back half this thing, which means we're gonna cut the frame off right here and build a custom 4-link suspension and make a cool bed and put the bed sides back on to make it look like a Tacoma, but it's not really gonna be a Tacoma anymore. And we're going to cut everything below that line off. We're gonna Boatside this thing. We're literally cutting like 3 inches, 4 inches out of the door, cutting all the rocker panels off and replacing it with a 2x8 piece of steel. It's gonna be beefy. It's gonna just delete everything below that. We're gonna have way more ground clearance, and we're gonna weld a skid plate from that down to the frame. Be able to slide down anything. It's gonna be super sick. And we're also gonna have to try and get 2 transfer cases in this thing. So we got this Facebook Marketplace dual transfer case set up. Yeah, we stole that, 750 bucks. We also have our engine, 3RZ, automatic transmission here, and our adapter plate that we got from LC Engineering to run the duals behind the auto in our Tacoma. We have a ton of work ahead of us, and well, it's already 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so we better get started. First thing I want to do is quite literally cut everything off, but in order to do that, we need to clean all of this out. We actually haven't touched this thing since we brought it home from wherever it was abandoned, so it's kind of gross still. So over the course of the next 5 to 10 seconds, you're going to watch me completely gut this thing. All right, we got everything mostly out of here. It's looking a lot better. Started to try and get up the sound deadener, but there's still some gooey stuff, so I bought dry ice. If you've never seen dry ice on sound deadener, it's like magic and it just comes off. Leaves like clean metal. So we're gonna do that real quick. It's like my new favorite hack for when you're getting this off. Just did it for the first time last week. It's dope. We got everything gutted out of this thing, and then it only took, 4 hours or so, but for you, 5 seconds. So now that everything's gutted, let's cut this thing up. So we're quite literally cutting everything down here out. We're cutting the door sill out, we're cutting the bottom of the door off, we're cutting all this stuff out of here, and we're going to put a 2x8 piece of steel 120 wall, 1/8 inch, right here in the place of it. It's gonna act as our rock slider. It's gonna act as our kind of frame, essentially, for a lot of our roll cage. We're gonna mount our seats to it in here, so we're gonna have seat bars that run in here. We'll mount the seats to it. So everything will be tied together, seats, cage, body, all of it as one whole nice strong unit. So yeah, this is super stressful, I'm not gonna lie. I've never done anything like this. I've done some body work in the past. I've patched in like a small quarter panel, but I've never like cut the rocker panels off the whole vehicle trying to make rock sliders. So Jeep guys might know this, XJs. This is apparently a thing you do with XJs, but with Tacomas, we have frames. We don't have this unibody weird thing that XJs have, so I'm here to learn. Let's get the Sawzall grinder and all the cut off stuff and make a rock crawler. We cut the whole rocker panel out of it, but really we did. And now we're gonna put in this. So this is a big old 2x8, and it's actually lighter than it looks, but in order to get it to fit, I either gotta pull the bed or pull the front tire, and the bed's gotta come off anyway. So we're gonna pull the bed off, and then we'll see if we can't start fitting this up and make a really cool rock slider. This looks so freaking sick. I wish I could take credit for the idea, but actually, I'm basically taking a lot of inspiration from Chris Class and Built out of the PNW. I'm not sure where exactly, like Tacoma, Washington area, I think. But anyway, him and his lady Kelsey have a pair of sick first-gen Tacomas, and not gonna lie, I basically looked at every post on Instagram that I could find of theirs, and this is kind of what I got. I think it came out sick too. The line's almost perfect. This side will have no gap once we trim up just one little piece back here. That fitment will be good. The fitment over here is phenomenal. I did go full 4-year-old with a Sawzall in the back, and we have a massive gap, but I'll make it look like that never happened by the time we're done here. Or you'll be able to see that I messed it up and fixed it. One of the two. Either way, it will be fixed when all said and done. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and prep all of the steel so we can start getting this welded in here. Everything came out on the floor. The fitment is really good. We use a Sawzall to cut most of this, and you can't even see the gap in here. So it's great. We're gonna prep everything all the way around. And for this little quarter panel here, I'm gonna prep the inside of this steel and tack weld it from the inside, and maybe the paint will look good still, and we won't have to do too much paint work. I don't know. If we have to paint like the bottom ½ black or whatever as part of like the rock slider cage. So anyway, prep it all, start welding this in. We'll cut this and cap it and make it look a little better. And yeah, copy paste on the other side. We have seriously devalued this truck so far, but eventually we'll add value. It'll happen soon. All right, we have everything fitted up, and I think we can start welding. I'm gonna tack it in really good, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll start stitching it in. But yeah, I think she's good. We have ourselves an upgraded modified rocker panel. I'm excited about it. It's gonna take a hit a lot better than the last one. I'm actually blown away at how easy that was. I mean, it wasn't like the easiest thing in the world, but far from hard. That was, it was a very rewarding task, all things considered. It's like 1 in the afternoon, and we're basically done with this side. We're gonna hop over to the other side, cut everything out, fit up the other side, slider, boat side, whatever you wanna call it. If you've been debating this, do it, because it's not that hard. If you have a dedicated crawler or a truck where you already smashed up your rocker panels, or a Jeep XJ, you can give yourself a frame, or you can just make your truck pretty sick and gain probably 6 to 8 inches of ground clearance compared to if you have traditional rock sliders. And then if you don't already have a cage, get after your cage, because you need a cage because safety. So yeah, we're gonna hop over to the other side, mark everything out, cut the other side out. I'm gonna learn from my last mistakes, not have a massive gap on the back here, because it's reminding me that it's always humbling, right, to make a nice old fat mistake on the first cut. So get the other side cut, hopefully without a mistake like that, and carry on. This is sick. I'm so stoked with the direction this is headed right now. Drum roll, please. We got 2 freaking boat sides halfway done. We still have to attach them to the frame, do some skid plates and stuff. But before we do all that, I want to finish cutting stuff and get the doors cut, possibly capped and attached. We might just attach them and see how flimsy they are and go about capping them later, because that's not very exciting. And I want to do exciting stuff like cut stuff apart right now. You know, that small brain I have. Anyway, let's check out the door. The door here, driver's side I already cut, passenger side I have not. We're gonna have to try and cut this at a very nice, consistent square angle, which is like square to this plane. Kinda, you just kinda have to look at the truck and see what we use as square. It's kinda weird, but the great thing is all you're gonna see is this. So if we cut it a little too much and it's beveled a little bit inward, it won't be the end of the world, but we're gonna try and get it perfect. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to take off the door card, pull the door apart, and chop this thing up. It's kind of exciting. This is all stuff I haven't done before, and it's coming out really sick. So my goal for today, at least, is to get the doors back on, and I do want to get the fenders back on a little bit and kind of start cutting them for the fender shape, because I think that would be really cool to see this thing take shape. And then we're gonna go ahead and try and get the engine, transmission, and 2 transfer cases, 2 of them, installed in this thing today. It's a lot of work to try and get done in one day, but might as well set high goals, right? Door check works, window goes all the way up and down. Speakers should still bump once I fix the wiring that I cut with my grinder. Hell yeah, brother. We're gonna do the same thing to the other side, and we'll get some fenders on this thing in no time. Dude, how sick would it be to put Lambo doors on a solid axle swap Toyota Tacoma? You ain't never seen half of a door close so nice. Yeah, it's just like a little small. We would probably have that much of a gap there, that much of a gap there. Pretty tight over there. All right, dude, look at this fender action. I think we need to cut a 1/4 inch off the fender. Oh, this looks so good. We'll get these fenders fit up in here. We're actually not gonna be able to trim the wheel wells right this second. What I wanna do before we get the fenders trimmed is actually mount the engine, transmission, transfer case, and get the engine in here with the oil pan, cycle the suspension, make sure the oil pan clearance to axle clearance is adequate, because we don't need to be cutting the fenders for suspension travel that we're not gonna be able to achieve because we have an engine in there. So trim the fenders a little bit and then start mounting our engine to transmission to transfer cases. Got the fenders back on this thing and it's honestly coming together, and I think it looks pretty proper, if I do say so myself. In order to clearance the fenders, we need the engine in, so that's what we're gonna do next. I got the engine off of the transmission that was in the buggy, which is now just an extra transmission. Thanks, Bobby from Red or Dead. And we're gonna go ahead and get this back in there, see if we can use the stock motor mounts that come off the engine. Hopefully we can, so I don't have to rebuild those and we can use stock motor mounts. We'll find out, kind of shove it in there and just see what happens, you know? Ooh, I gotta pull those lines. We have the engine in, bolted to the transmission, so we're gonna make the engine mounts first. We actually have a couple of brand new mounts, probably cheap ones, laying around, which is rad. So we'll put those on, and it worked out to where we actually can just use the factory mount and rubber. So that's super cool. We'll probably end up replacing these mounts with something like a polyurethane or even like a bomb-proof mount. Give a little bit less flex in there, don't want anything breaking. But yeah, it's gonna work great. So what we'll do now is we'll hop on the plas table. We're gonna have to fill it with water because it's been a minute. As you can see, it's sad and empty. Cut out a couple of plates that will bolt to these motor mounts there. Motor mounts kind of sit in the frame like that. So we're just gonna make the frame plates, and we'll work on getting these frame plates mated to the actual frame. Probably just do a 2x2 rec tube. Boom, one easy tube. Make it done, and it'll be clean, look good. Engine will be in, start working on the transmission. And I want to put a rear mounted winch on here, so we'll just cut the frame off wherever we don't need it and use the existing frame. I don't think anything's going to be in the way. So yeah, back to work. We've got our motor mount plate cut here. We also cut a couple of tabs that we can weld on the bottom of the plate, and it'll actually catch the motor mount as you're setting the motor in, just like a factory mount. So we're gonna get all this tacked together, and then we'll go ahead and bolt it all to the engine. Once it's all bolted to the engine, we'll actually make the part that attaches the engine to the frame. Sounds easy, right? I'll show you how to mess it up, I'm sure. Used some cardboard to make a sweet little template. Turned it into steel, ground on it a few times with the Ameribraid. It's a little, you know, off. It's like a compound angle, but it fits perfectly. We're gonna go ahead and install that right there. We got the one side in, and it honestly went in way too easy. So I'm suspicious the other side's gonna fight us. We're gonna go ahead and start notching that 2x2. Hopefully it goes together just as easy. Then we can set this thing on its own weight, kind of check it out again. I raised the engine like 2.5 inches. So we're gonna have a little bit of work getting everything else raised up to match it, especially the dual transfer cases we're putting in, but it's gonna be worth it in the end.
Did you pay the electricity bill?
Yeah, dude, the power must be out again.
What are we gonna do?
Well, it's no big deal thanks to today's video sponsor, Jackery. And more specifically, the Jackery Home Power 3600 Plus. outages happen around here, everything stops. The lights, the computers, the tools, the battery chargers, everything we do relies on power, and that's why I'm so stoked that we have this Jackery Home Power 3600 Plus powering up the shop when inevitably the power does go out. The Home Power 3600 Plus is a portable home backup system that's powerful enough to keep all of our equipment running so that we can keep working. Rated at 3,600 watts of output with 3,584 watt hour of available capacity, this little thing is an absolute monster and has no problem powering up home essentials like a fridge, microwave, TV, monitors, computers, or anything in the shop like a bandsaw, a belt grinder, and even a lathe, all at the same time. All three of these things are powered up and running right now, and that says how much power this thing has. Another thing I really love about this is its uninterrupted power source feature. Keep this thing plugged into the wall, keep your important electronics plugged into it, and without fail, when the power goes out, everything stays powered up without any interruption. You can also monitor this entire power system from your phone, so it's easy to monitor battery life, power consumption, charging status, and everything else. If a power outage lasts any longer than this thing can supply, you can also just plug this thing into solar panels and it'll charge right up, which is great for around the shop, around the home, or anywhere off grid, including in a camper. You guys know we go camping all the time. This thing is small and compact enough to just fold up, pick up, set in the back of your camper, and have a great weekend full of power. While we're using it out there, it is worth mentioning that this thing was specifically designed as a home backup power station. Honestly, this is one of those things that you hope you don't need very often, but when you do, it just works. Power out, Jackery on. Visit the link in the description to learn more about the Jackery sale, or just Google search Jackery for more info. Thank you so much to Jackery for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to it. Supposedly, these tack welds should hold up this 400-some pound engine. We're gonna find out. First things first, the exhaust is in the way. Engine's in and everything is looking like it is gonna work great. Now, what we have to move our attention to is the transfer case. We are using this transmission, but what we're not using is this transfer case. This has a gear drive transfer case with a baseline reduction. You cannot change that reduction. We'll call it 2.5 to 1. So you cannot go any faster or slower in low range than 2.5 to 1, your normal gear ratio. With the new dual transfer case setup, we're gonna have 2 transmissions, which means we're gonna have more options at different low range gears because these are gear drive transfer cases and you can just swap out the internal gears and get a different reduction. These gears in particular are 2.28 to 1 in the front transfer case, and in the rear transfer case it is 4.7 to 1. Gives you a total of like 10 to 1 plus your first gear plus your diff gears. You have like 150 to 1, but for every time your engine spins to 1 time your tire spins, so you go really slow, which is good for rock crawling. Pair that with an automatic transmission, you can basically go as slow as you possibly ever can. Like you can move millimeters, thousandths of an inch basically. It's gonna be super rad for rock crawling. It's gonna go super slow, but we have to pull out this stock gear drive transfer case and try and fit these in there. And I know we're gonna have some transmission tunnel modifications needed because we did bring that engine up about 2.5 inches. So let's pull out that nasty gear oil that's in that transfer case, pull the transfer case and see what we're working with. All right, so first step to pulling the transfer case is getting the rear drive shaft out of here, and the little bit left we have the front drive shaft. So we'll get those unbolted real quick and move on. Bam. There we go. All right, yep, that's nice and heavy. Yeah. Heck. And just like that, we have victory, and this old nasty transfer case is out. We have our new adapter for our fancy dual case adapter situation, and we have our dual cases. So this adapter, we got it from LC Engineering. It's a trail gear adapter or something. Lets you run a R1FA gear drive transfer case behind an A340 out of a Tacoma. So we're gonna go ahead, pull off this W56, put the adapter on, get all of this mocked up to the transmission in there. It won't all work right now, because of the way things are for the time being, waiting on a 23 spline input gear for a 228 gear set, because that's a 228, unless this for some crazy reason already has 23 spline, which I doubt it. So we'll get that gear on eventually, but for now we're going to make this transmission and transfer case situation fit, because it's going to be girthy under there, to say the least. All right, I'm going to bench press 110 pounds. We got the dual cases in, and that was honestly a bear. I'm glad Brad was here to help me. They're heavy. 110 pounds is a little bit of weight when you're trying to like bench press it up. But now we have the situation of trying to get this thing. We raised the motor so much that we do need to raise the transmission and transfer case. We did raise it a little bit, but we're hitting the floor on, you know, the truck. I didn't want to do a transmission tunnel, but we're so close to having like dang near a perfect Flatbelly. Sorry for my face, but look at that. The transfer case is barely hanging down. So I have to now make it my life goal to basically Flatbelly this thing. So I think we can do it pretty easily. Let me show you how. So everything is so forgiving on this Tacoma because it's so much bigger than a Toyota pickup truck that I think we're gonna be able to just slice the tunnel as close as we can to the edge, and we're gonna just be able to cut that all the way out, pick it up, raise this about 2 inches in the back, put a little wedge piece in, weld it all the way around, and get the clearance we need to basically Flatbelly this truck, which is gonna be huge for just everything. Drive shaft angles, it's gonna be huge for clearance angles underneath skid plates that we're gonna build. This truck is gonna be so gnarly on the trail. All right, we got the floor cut out of this thing, and oh boy, I might have made a mistake. I cut another floor out of another truck, but I think we can get this one put back pretty easily. It's kind of a funky hole in the floor here, but like I said, I think we're just gonna try and make a one piece that goes over this. We'll stitch weld it to the floor, cut out a little more of this for the drive shaft just to be perfect. And I think we should be rocking and rolling. We do have a fully Flatbelly, and it's sick. Look at that. Nothing under here. No transfer case output, nothing. The only thing sticking down from here is gonna be drive shafts and links. Also, unfortunately, I do think we're gonna have to pull these bottom links back another about 12 inches. And the top links, I'm gonna try and bring back, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. It sucks, but it is what it is. It's just what we need for everything to work as optimally as possible. But for now, we're gonna focus on getting this thing back together. So let's bend up a piece, try and get it fit in here, and see what we can make happen. So we got this thing in, and it fits pretty freaking good. We have both of our shifter holes cut. They look in a great spot. The automatic shifter hole is up here. We had to bring this up extra much just because I don't want to try and redesign the whole automatic shifter. Hopefully this is the height where it'll just work. We do have to actually try again. I want to try and bring this down all the way to the floor so it's one piece and looks really good. And the same thing over here. We're just not quite long enough. So we're going to go recut this on the table one more time. A little bit longer in a few places, and hopefully it works really good and we can just weld this thing in and get moving on to the next step, because this thing's actually coming together and I am super stoked to take this thing out. Now that we've got our new piece cut, what I'm gonna do is put the old piece back in there, add some cardboard to the pieces or the places that need the material, make a template, and I'll be able to pull the template off of this, set it on this, and just cut this out exactly like I need to. And I know I won't mess it up because, well, I guess I can't know that, but I think I won't mess it up, so that's the point. That when you're looking at stuff on Facebook Marketplace, YouTube then recommend you videos, because I just rode on a houseboat and then I kind of like looked at a couple houseboats and yachts on Marketplace, and then I got recommended this dude who bought a $5,000 abandoned yacht on YouTube, and it was just all really coincidental. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but hopefully These YouTube videos are putting marketplace listings of old clapped out Toyotas in your marketplace so you guys too can make a bad financial decision and try and build a solid axle swap Toyota Tacoma on 40-inch tires. But we got the one half done. We're gonna do the same thing to the other side and we should be able to move on. Sorry, just a little random thought in my little random brain. We have everything fully sealed up on this transmission tunnel, and honestly, came out pretty slick. I think it looks good. We may end up having to cut a little piece here for the transfer case output. It's a little tight, but we're gonna have to get under here and investigate what needs done. And since I have so much work to do under here, I don't want to do it on my back. We're gonna cut off the old transmission crossmember. We have to build a pretty crazy contraption to get all this actually flat bellied. So we're gonna get it on the lift. We're gonna take out the front axle and we're gonna talk about the things we're gonna have to take apart that we already did and the things that we're gonna keep doing moving forward. But first we'll move forward. Are going to actually pull the front axle out from under this thing. Now that we got this thing up in the air and the links out from under it, we can kind of show you what we have to do for the transfer case mount. There's not a whole lot of space here in front of the output flange because it's all going to be in the way of the drive shaft. Drive shaft's going to be going right here. So to mount this thing, we're going to actually use both transfer case mounts and the transmission mount. I'm going to tie all of it together with a crazy box brace thing, which will also hopefully help deflection through the transfer case, and maybe we won't blow transfer cases up with the 40s and the extra power. I know it's not a whole lot of power, it's a Toyota 4-cylinder still, but these Toyota cases aren't known to be the strongest things in the world. So we're gonna tie them all together, make a crazy brace thing, and then up here where the old transmission mount was, we're gonna make a new transmission mount that goes right where the old one is now. So we're gonna have to take the plas cutter, cut off the transmission mount on both sides, clean up the frame. We're actually gonna cut off our lower link mounts here because I am going to make the lower links about 10 to 12 inches longer. They're only 30 inches long right now, like 31. I want them to be 40 to 42 inches long. Then we're gonna take the upper link mounts, we're gonna ditch those on the frame as well. We're gonna make a new link mount over here higher and further back to get as much length out of the upper links as we possibly can and give us more triangulation, miss the frame just a little more, and just make everything work a little better. We were making sacrifices before because I was trying to work around some stuff, and we're just gonna cut it all apart. Whatever's in our way, we're gonna make it exactly what we need. So we're opening a can of worms, but by the end of it, it's gonna be really dialed. For now, we're gonna cut all this stuff off, start making that transmission crossmember. That was a lot of work. I'm dying. Yesterday we got both sides of the frame cleaned up, the crossmember fully cut out of here, and we lost the lower link mounts. It was disgusting. I hate grinding in the heat of the day, but we got her done. Now we can move on to actually mounting the transmission and transfer case. What we're gonna do is we're gonna utilize all of our mounting holes on the bottom of the transfer cases here, and we're gonna go ahead also tie into the transmission brace mount here. This Tacoma transmission was originally mounted from the transmission, and then the older gear drive transfer cases that we're using were mounted by the transfer cases. We're gonna use all of them, tie it all together, make it super stiff, and then I think we're gonna try and come off of the transmission case over here to the frame, and this is gonna be above the drive shaft. I have a drive shaft here just kind of as an example, and at full tuck, we are literally right in the way of all this, and as it droops, we're gonna be coming down. We only have a little bit of room right here. Technically, I could probably fit a tube under this just barely, but I don't really think it's gonna fit really nicely. And Adam's drive shaft loves to send me extremely beefy parts that might be a little bigger than the stock Toyota joint. And as you know, I'm gonna be using an Adams drive shaft because those boys know what's going on. So, all that being said, like I said, we're gonna try and pull from right here for our transmission mount. It's gonna be interesting, it's gonna be weird, but I think we're gonna get it done. So let's go over to the plies table, cut little tabs that will bolt here, here, and there, and then we'll think about tying them all together and making some sort of structure to come off towards the frame. Before we can bolt up these tabs to our transfer cases themselves, we're gonna have to tap each of these holes out because the last Crossmember this transfer case setup used was a rear mounted one. Since they used a rear mounted one, a whole bunch of crap got in there, so in order to bolt them in, we're gonna have to tap it out. Honestly, getting these tabs was way more of a fight than I ever thought because I not only cut the holes just a little bit too narrow, but then every single hole needed tapped out because they were crap. Now that they're here, we're gonna use some cardboard aided design. I'm gonna make the template for our piece that's gonna wrap up here and connect all these together, and then we'll make a big box under this thing. It's basically gonna be a skid plate that won't ever see damage, but what it's gonna do is just tie everything together really solid, and then we can start building off of that. Got our good old cardboard aided template, put it right about there. Got one more little cut we're gonna do once we put it in the computer, but yeah, we'll go get this cut out and make sure it fits and start putting all this together. All right, you guys, I was getting ready to cut out our pieces, but we had something really cool show up, so we gotta show you this. We got a freight truck. You know what happens on freight trucks? Big, heavy stuff. I'm very excited to show you guys this, so yeah, stay tuned. At it again, Kevin from Snow Welding. You need any welding or fabrication done in Four Corners area, Kevin is your man. Big plies table, big brake shear. Anyway, also has a cool forklift to do some more sometime. This is our freaking TRK fab table, boys and girls. This is a real big fab table and it's gonna be really sick. So let's get this thing open and show you what we got. Let me introduce you to our new fixture table system. And this is the TRK Iron Horse fixture table system. It's probably the most versatile system you'll ever see. You can put any configuration of all of their different tables on these horses to make whatever size, whatever shape you might need. We can bolt this table to the end of this with no legs. We can just bolt it on out there, it'll be just fine. We can bolt this table in between these two horses to make one massive table. You can get their 48 or 54 by 96 or 102 table and put it in between two of these and you have yourself a 12-foot long table. There's literally unlimited options, which makes this system so cool. The best part is I have a lot of projects, I work on a lot of stuff. Now, if I need to, I can bust off half of this, have a smaller table, bust off a single sawhorse, have a single sawhorse over where I need it, or I can have the massive table when I need it. I'm not gonna go into too much detail. You guys can check it out for yourself. Go to trkfab.com or whatever their website is. I believe that is what it is. And check them out. It is super cool to have been supported from the very beginning. They sent us this table basically when we had no tools. Sent us this table because they said, hey, you could probably use another table. And they finally sent us the massive fixture table that I've been longing for my whole life. Thank you so much to TRK Fab for always hooking us up. Now I can finally cut that transfer case bracket out. This did take, I ain't gonna lie, this took a couple hours to assemble. It was a couple pieces, but it's done and it looks sick. All right, we got our first little piece cut out and it goes something like that. Boom. Yeah, that looks really good, honestly. So that'll tie everything together once we get it all, you know, welded together. This side, yeah, we're hitting this adapter right here, so we'll just notch the back side of this just a little bit, get both of those welded onto all these tabs and start making the rest. All right, we got both sides tacked up. We're gonna do the same thing, make a cardboard template of the front and the back here, get both those welded on, get the bottom welded on, and we'll start thinking about how we're gonna connect it all. These aren't the most beautiful welds because it's upside down and it's really hard to weld upside down, but I wanted to weld it on the transfer case so that it can cool down on the transfer case, and hopefully when we pull it off the transfer case, it doesn't pull away or do something weird. Also, when we weld the back of these, it's gonna naturally wanna pull this way, so if we already have this side welded and it pulls just a little bit, hopefully it'll pull it all back to good. But we have all 4 sides loaded on here. We're gonna cut out the bottom here, make a big hole for this drain plug, because I really hate not having holes big enough for your drain plug when you're draining your oil. It's still gonna get absolutely everywhere, but we're gonna do our best. And yeah, we'll get the bottom of this put on here. We got our entire piece put together here, so we're gonna put the drive shaft up here and kind of start looking at things. I thought for a second we could use a bent piece of tube and come up above it and die in and have a pretty cool looking cross member, but unfortunately, no matter what I do, not only is it really close to the drive shaft, but we're gonna be blocking our 2 bolts to bolt this on, so we won't be able to bolt it on after we put the, so we're gonna have to make some crazy plate structure that welds onto that, goes around, and then comes over here to the frame. So I'm gonna get the cardboard back out and we're gonna make a crazy looking bracket. And then hopefully, after we get this side done, the other side goes together super easy because, well, there's no drive shaft over here. All right, what started as a little napkin drawing on this piece of cardboard transformed into this. Didn't like that. Cut this one, nope. 2 more, finally got it dialed on the 4th, and then we transferred it to 1/4 inch plate. Now we're gonna take this over to the frame and we'll show you what's going on. So because of the drive shaft coming right through here, we needed something tucked way up in there, and these did the job. Now we're gonna have 2 of these spread out like so. And it just so happens that these also work on the other side. And while they look crazy, they're super strong. This is all 1/4 inch. So we're just gonna cut 2 more of these, use them on the other side, get them welded in here. Once they're welded in, we're actually gonna drop the cross member, weld all that out, put some caps on these, like, I don't know if it's gonna be 1/8 inch, because I'm gonna have to bend the crap out of it. And then we're gonna plate the frame, get the frame side of these mounts welded in, show you the bushings we're using, which are just universal body mount bushings, and then we'll have the transmission cross member done, and we can move back to the lower links. A lot of steps for one little cross member. All right, we got the drive shaft in, and this is actually gonna be 6 or 7 inches off center that way, and we're 1 inch or 2 that way. So this is gonna move quite a bit, but we have a ton of clearance between our cross member. I should have checked before I welded it as well as I did, but we're here now. Even if I need to kind of cut into this rear one just a little bit to give us a little more clearance, I think we have tons of material to do that with. So pull this down, pull that down, get it welded out, get those frame plates done. Wow, it went back together. That's cool. Usually when I weld stuff, it warps all the crap, and I'm struggling. Sweet. So now we're gonna drill our holes for our body mounts. Let me get those and show you. So this is our body mount, and it's basically just gonna go 1/2 on top, 1/2 on bottom, and it just isolates a little bit of that vibration. We don't want this moving a whole lot. Building rock crawler, don't need a whole lot of comfort, but we do want a little bit of just cushion, just in case we hit something really hard. Frame tweaks a little bit. We don't want to be snapping the drivetrain or anything. It's not likely that we'll tweak the frame, but it's good to isolate your engine and transmission from all the forces. So we'll get these in, drill some holes, make the other top half of the bracket, get it all welded in, and we will have the transmission mounted, which will be sick. That's the whole drivetrain done. So hot. I should put my jacket on, but I'm done. So for these brackets, I actually had to cut a relief cut into these because when I try and bend on a like perfect angle like this, it always bends all stupid. So it's easier just to cut it without the bend, or like put a relief cut into the bend, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Anywho, we got these welded up. They're just gonna go up here like so, tied against the frame, and then we can bolt that to it, drill a hole through it. One more hole to drill and this transmission's fully mounted, which is super hype. All right, the drain plug is 1/16 below the bottom, but we're gonna have a hole here anyway so you can drain it in that flat belly skid plate. So technically, this flat belly is gonna be 1/4 inch below the bottom of this because we're gonna do a 1/4 inch skid plate. But everywhere else, we're good. We have one little hiccup on literally the drain plug. Sweet, look at that, dude. That was a mission. That was like a full day mission to get all this done, but it's all done now. We can start getting those lower links put back in this thing. On top of the lower links, I'm gonna cut out this and move the upper link up here to like this general vicinity. We're gonna tie all this in really well, put a new link mount in, and yeah, just try and make it super beefy. We want these as high as possible and as far out as possible to not only clear the frame, but for just a dual triangulated 4-link to do its thing. You need 2 triangulated links, upper and lower. Now that we have the transmission cross member in here, we can start making the lower link mounts. And I mean remaking, because I did already build these, but we're gonna make these links about 12 inches longer, pull them right behind the cross member, and then they're also gonna be a little more inward, quite a bit more inward. I'm trying to triangulate this a little more, get some longer lower links, and try and just make this thing flex really, really well. I think we're only going to put 14-inch shocks on it for right now, but we may step up to 18s or 20s in the future. So I just want to, I'm sorry, 16s or 18s, no 20s on this thing in the future. So I'm trying to plan for the future, make this thing as capable as possible. So we're going to get our sweet pickled in oil steel, which by the way, if you've been contemplating buying the pickled in oil, just do it. Mill scale sucks. Going to go ahead, make some beefy brackets, try and raise the mounting up just a little bit from where it was, and it's going to be further out. So it'll be a weird little bracket, but we'll reinforce the crap out of it and stay out of the way of our transmission crossmember. If I'd have clamped it to this nice fixture table, I could have prevented that. You get with your fixture table, I can do that. And then things get way less sketchy. I think everything should be happy. I think. I'm not gonna weld all that, but get an extra little gusset in there.
reinforced ever-living stank out of it. Wow.
Got some lower link mounts back.
And this time, we're halfway through the cab. Yeah, this is turning into a full-blown buggy, which is trying to go wheeling with buggies, so we're gonna have to do that. I'm getting stoked again because we're finally making forward progress. Engines in, trans is in. We got the freaking lower links in.
Next thing we're gonna be working on is our upper link mount. What we're gonna do to start all that is we're taking our old upper link mount out. I thought it was cool. We're gonna make an even cooler one. And we're gonna cut about 1.25 inches. We're gonna bring the Boatside flush to the fender, just have that all finished, cap it off, get that just done and out of there, and then we can think about where we wanna put our upper link mount. And it's gonna be out here. And I just wanna make sure it's under that slope that the Boatside's gonna be, because I want this, just want it to make sense, you know? I'm trying to build this hopefully just one more time, maybe twice, knowing myself, but anyway, we'll get this cut off and get the welding. I did hit it once before, but I did this time. Before everyone's like, why are you drilling out holes you cut on the plasma table? I like really precise holes. The best way to do that is to drill it the exact size you need. Plasma table will get close, really close, but it won't be perfect. I like perfect. Now that we have all of the brackets back on the truck, we can remake our lower and upper links. Now we moved those frame mounts way back, so everything's way longer. This, right now, believe it or not, is 30.5 inches eye to eye. Our new link measurement should be about 44 inches eye to eye. So we're adding 14 inches roughly. Rad. We are definitely gonna add some length. This is what everyone said. We're about where we want everything. So we need a 37-inch piece of tube here. We'll make our links, and we'll get the lowers back in, and we'll measure for the uppers, because I wanna just make sure my pinion angle's where I want it. Double checking, we have a right and a left hand thread. You don't want two right hand threads on the same one. We're good to go. We'll weld this up, get the other one welded up, get these in. Yeah. Right there. A little more. Stop. All right. Lower links are in, axle situated. We took the number on both sides of the axle. One side was 40 1/4, the other side was 39 1/2. I'm assuming it's just cattywampus, so we're gonna go to the middle of that, which is 39 7/8. Make both of those upper links that length, get them installed, and finally articulate the freaking axle. Drive shaft's in, by the way. Random drive shaft I found in the backyard. It's in, so that's pretty neat too. And with articulating the axle, we are also gonna start cutting this fender, because this just doesn't look right, and as soon as we cut the fender, it'll look a lot better, and everyone can quit talking smack. I don't know who's been talking smack, but if you have, I've been hearing you. Chili job. We are barely skinning by on the hair of our chin on that body mount, but whatever. I'll cut that later.
This drive shaft angle is freaking mint. Now that we have all the links in, we can finally cycle the suspension. That's kind of what started all this. I was wanting to cycle the suspension, so I need to mount the engine, transmission. The boat sides just kind of happened. I don't know, it's a good thing because we mounted the upper links to them. But now we can finally start cutting the sheet metal. Now we're gonna probably end up coming up like this and doing something along those lines. But for now, I think I'm just gonna go and add a little bit of that for now. Ultimately, it is probably gonna get a full buggy cut, but I just wanna see the suspension cycle and see what we have to cut. I don't wanna cut too much more than I have to. So, marking stuff, cutting stuff. Wow. All right, that is upper links on the frame. So that is bump. And I mean, that's pretty good. The links are like in here. Yeah, I like that. So now we're gonna strap the axle to the frame over on this side and flex it out. And then this is gonna go way in. And I'm probably gonna have to cut out all of that. Let's check it out. Stop. Getting into it a little bit. We haven't even started flexing really. Okay, we got some stuff to address over here. We're definitely getting into some stuff. All right, now that we have the front suspension back in, we actually can cycle it a little bit. Honestly, the next thing we need to do is cut the whole front of this thing off. We need to take the inner fenders out. We need to cut all of this junk out of here. Probably cut some of our core support out, pull the headlight out, because that's where the tire wants to go. And where the tire wants to go is where we're gonna put it. We're making this thing basically a buggy, so wherever the tire wants to go, we need to let it go there because I am building this for off-road performance and look second. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All that being said, I think we're out of time for today. I did a whole lot, got the engine, transmission, boat sides done, rebuilt the whole front suspension, and now we should be truly done with the front end, minus getting all of this stuff and clearing for tires. That's super awesome, so hopefully next time we're gonna get the rear end done, start on a roll cage, probably back half the thing, I don't know. We're just gonna see what happens when we get there, but that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I am so stoked to be building this truck and I can't wait to take it out and wheel with you guys. So, till next time, we'll catch you on the next one.